I am literally sitting here shaking because I cannot even begin to process the emotional roller coaster that Beyond the Gates just put us through. Are the writers trying to destroy us? Because if they are, IT is working. We need to talk about Danny Dupree, Bill Hamilton, and my poor, sweet, traumatized Andre Richardson. I have been following this show for so long, and I have never, and I mean never, felt so conflicted, so frustrated, and so deeply heartbroken for a love triangle in my entire life. My mind is racing, my heart is pounding, and I just need to vent to you guys because I know you are feeling the exact same way. Does anyone else feel completely betrayed by the universe right now, or is it just me? Let's set the scene and rewind to the hospital. We all know Dani has been going through absolute hell lately. She tested positive for the BRCA gene, which is a terrifying, life-altering reality. She is at Garland Memorial for her routine checkup, and you can just feel the anxiety radiating off the screen. The sterile white walls, the uncomfortable waiting room chairs, the deafening silence of waiting for a doctor to tell you about your genetic fate. I felt so much empathy for Dani in that moment. She is sitting there, totally vulnerable, carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. But then, guess who walks in? Bill Hamilton. Yes, her ex-husband, Bill. And why is he there? He's there to get his mysterious, violent hand tremors checked out. Now, we, the audience, know exactly why his hands are shaking like leaves in a hurricane. His current wife, the absolute devil incarnate Haley Hamilton, is secretly poisoning him. He is literally deteriorating from the inside out, and he has no idea that the woman he shares a bed with is slowly murdering him. I was screaming at my TV, "Bill, it's the poison!" Run away from Haley. But he doesn't know. He just knows his body is failing him, and he is terrified. So, by some cruel twist of fate, Dani and Bill end up sitting next to each other in this depressing hospital waiting room. Two exes, two people with a massive, complicated history. Both of them staring down the barrel of their own mortality. And guys, the conversation they had, it was a masterclass in acting. It was so raw, so stripped down, and so profoundly sad. They didn't fight. There was no flirty banter like we usually see from them. They just sat together and shared their deepest, darkest fears about death and the absolute fragility of life. Bill is terrified that his body is giving up on him, and Dani is terrified that her genetics are a ticking time bomb. And then it happened. The moment that made my jaw drop straight to the floor, they held hands. They held hands. And look, I need to be completely honest with you guys. I didn't see it as a romantic, scandalous hookup moment. I saw it as two terrified human beings clinging to each other because they are both staring into the abyss of death. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated human connection. But out of context, oh my God, out of context, it looks terrible. Because right at that exact second, who decides to walk down the hospital corridor? Andre Richardson. My beautiful, emotionally scarred Andre. Let's pause for a second and remember who Andre is. This is a man who lost both of his parents in a horrific plane crash at the exact same time years ago. He is a man whose entire psychological foundation is built on the trauma of sudden loss and the paralyzing fear of grief. He has already confessed to Chelsea that he is terrified of losing Dani to this BRCA gene, or worse, losing her back to Bill. And what does he walk in and see? His worst nightmare playing out in high definition. He stands there in the doorway, and the camera pans to his face, and I swear to you, I heard his heart shatter into 1,000 pieces. I was literally jumping up and down in my living room yelling, "Andre, say something!" Go in there, interrupt them. Fight for your woman. But he doesn't. He doesn't say a single word. He doesn't storm in and cause a scene. He doesn't demand an explanation. Instead, the life just drains out of his eyes, his shoulders slump, and he quietly retreats. He walks away. Are you kidding me right now? I was pulling my hair out. Why do these characters never communicate? But the tragedy doesn't stop there. Oh, no. The writers decided to twist the knife even deeper. Andre doesn't just walk away to cool off. He decides in his heartbroken, spiraling state that he is going to pack his bags and leave Fairmont Crest forever. Yes, forever. Can we just take a moment to process the absolute insanity of this reaction? He is ready to throw away his entire life, his entire relationship, because of a misunderstanding in a hospital waiting room. I am so angry at him, but at the same time, I am sobbing for him because I understand his pain. He feels like he has already lost the battle, so why stick around to watch the casualty? Fast forward to later that night. The atmosphere shifts from the sterile hospital to this dark, dingy, neon-lit dive bar. The smell of stale beer and regret is practically seeping through the screen. And who is sitting at the bar, absolutely wasted, drowning his sorrows in cheap liquor? Andre. He is a complete mess. And who manages to track him down? Chelsea Hamilton. The irony here is just dripping off the walls, guys. Chelsea is Bill's daughter, but she has become this beautiful stepdaughter figure and confidant to Andre. She's already dealing with her own stress regarding Doctor. Madison Montgomery turning down the Copenhagen project, but she drops everything to find Andre. Chelsea walks into the bar, sees the absolute state he is in, and sits down next to him. And this is the moment, this is the scene that broke me. This is why I am making this video today. Because what Andre confesses to Chelsea is the most heartbreaking, gut-wrenching piece of dialogue I have ever heard on daytime television. I thought he was going to rant about how Dani is cheating on him. I thought he was going to scream about Bill stealing his woman. But no. Andre, with tears streaming down his face, his voice cracking from the alcohol and the sheer weight of his depression, looks at Chelsea and drops a massive truth bomb. He is not afraid of the cancer. Let me repeat that. He is not afraid of the BRCA gene. He is not afraid of Dani getting sick. So what is he afraid of? He confesses to Chelsea that he is terrified because he feels he doesn't have the qualifications and the tolerance to protect Dani the way Bill does. He feels inadequate. He literally watched Bill sitting there quietly holding Dani's hand, being her rock in the face of death, and Andre's broken, traumatized brain convinced him that Bill is the better man for her. Andre genuinely believes that Bill's silent, steady protection is something he can never offer Dani because he is too broken by his own past grief. I am literally screaming at my monitor. Andre, no! You are enough. You are so much more than enough. How can he not see that Bill is literally shaking because he is being poisoned by his psychotic wife? Bill is not a rock right now. Bill is a crumbling sandcastle. But Andre's self-esteem is so deeply fractured that he views Bill as this invincible protector that he can never measure up to. The psychology of this is just brilliant, but it is so painful to watch. It makes perfect sense when you look at Andre's history. When his parents died in that plane crash, he felt entirely powerless. He couldn't protect them. And now, facing the potential of Dani getting cancer, that same feeling of absolute powerlessness is rushing back. He looks at Bill and sees a man who has history, a man who shares a deep, unspoken bond with Dani, and Andre feels like an imposter in his own relationship. He thinks he is doing Dani a favor by leaving Fairmont Crest forever. He thinks he is stepping aside so the better man can take care of her. I am just so frustrated and devastated. Chelsea is sitting there at the bar, listening to this broken man pour his heart out, and you can see the absolute pity and sorrow in her eyes. She knows her dad, Bill, is a mess. She knows Andre is the one Dani truly needs right now. But how do you convince a man who is actively drowning in his own insecurities that he is worthy of love? How do you pull someone out of a spiral when they have already convinced themselves that their absence is a gift? This entire sequence of events is a masterclass in tragic misunderstanding. If Andre had just walked into that waiting room, if he had just said, "Hey, what's going on?" Dani would have explained it. Bill would have explained it. But because of his trauma, his immediate instinct is flight. And now he is sitting in a bar, completely intoxicated, planning to abandon the woman he loves because he thinks he isn't good enough to hold her hand while she faces her mortality. I cannot handle this show, you guys. I really can't. My emotions are completely fried. I need to know what you all think about this. Do you think Andre is justified in feeling this way? Do you think Chelsea is going to be able to talk some sense into him? Or is he actually going to pack his bags and leave Fairmont Crest for good? And what about Dani and Bill? Are those old sparks going to reignite now that they are bonding over their mutual fear of death? Please, please, please drop your thoughts in the comments down below because I am losing my mind and I need to talk to people who understand this pain. If you enjoyed this emotional rant, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on the absolute chaos that is Beyond the Gates. I love you guys so much. Stay strong out there, and I will see you in the next video.